again. How are you guys? Still awake. I am super excited to get to share some things with you guys this morning. Again, my name is Pastor Amy. I am half of the Next Gen Pastor team, and it is our honor and privilege to be able to pastor your kids and to lead the leaders that lead your kids, because it is truly deep within our heart what we get to do every single day. And I just want to say to you as parents, thank you for bringing your kids every single week. On average, the church has about 40 hours a year with a child. So we do not take lightly what God has called us to do. We spend a lot of time preparing for Sundays and for Thursday nights. So thank you. When you think, should I go or should I not go this week? Please come. We miss your kids when they're not here, and we miss you when you're not here. But I wanted to start off today with sharing a little bit about the Next Generation Department with you guys. Everybody has one of these cards in your seat, and it explains a little bit about what the next generation here at Epic looks like. So when we say Next Gen and when we say Journey, Quest, and Shift, I just want you to be able to understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about, or what Pastor Justin's talking about, or what Pastor IV, if he gets up here and says, over in Journey, or he says all the time, over in Quest, they're giving your kids a whole bunch of candy. So you guys can understand a little bit more about that, and so you can partner with us, and we can truly be an orange church. But in Journey, that is our very first department. It's in the very back of the church. Raise your hand if you've got a little one in Journey right now. Yes, there's a lot of them in the 11 o'clock service, and we love them. But Journey is our birth through pre-K department. In those areas, when they leave as a pre-K child going into kindergarten, we want them to know that God made me, God loves me, and Jesus is my friend forever. They have memory verses every month. People are praying over your child. They're singing worship songs and doing a lot of fun things back there. And then when they leave Journey, they go into Quest. It's right across the hallway, and that is our kindergarten through 5th grade department. And their basic truths. Do I have any Quest kids that just came out of Quest in here? What are some basic truths? Yell them out loud. What's your first one? Really? Y'all are being shy on me. But over there, we want them to know that they can make the wise choice, that they can trust God no matter what. And what's the last one? Treat others the way I want to be treated. There we go. They're like, yeah, that's what I was talking about. So we want to help them to make wise decisions. I was talking to somebody at Jackson's school this week, and I said it's not about a whole bunch of rules, but it's about helping them to learn to make very wise decisions, because sometimes it's not about right or wrong. Can I get an amen from a parent? It's about making the wise decision in that moment. And then when they leave Quest, they come to Shift. That is our 6th through 12th graders, and we love Shift. And we all know that Shift has a big day coming up today, because we are shifting from Wednesday nights to Sunday nights. So we are going to be in this room with the Shift students from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock tonight, and from every Sunday going forward, unless we have something really cool going on. And there's all of our Shift students over there. Super excited. So that's just a little bit about Next Gen. That's how we kind of roll around here and what that looks like. But if you ever have any questions, if we can serve you as a parent or as a grandparent, aunt or uncle in any way, or help you answer some questions, I do think today is going to help all of you a lot as a church. But if you ever have anything that we can help you with, please come see me or Pastor Justin, and we would love to help your family get to where God is taking you. But a little bit about our family. We think we have hundreds of kids because we think your kids are ours. We get to spend a lot of time with them. But we have 3 little ones that live in the home with us. We have Jackson, who is a 6th grader. He's going to Cedar Ridge this year, so we are transitioning. And then we have Cameron, who is our 9-year-old, and she's going to be in the 4th grade. And then we have this really little girl. Her name is Logan Gray, and you probably know her better than you know our entire family. If you know, I'm not kidding, I said that at 9. Raise your hand if you know who I'm talking about when I say Logan. Like, it's crazy. I went to Point Mallard last week with the kids, and I walked up to this mom and her daughter, and I said, hey, did you have fun at church on Sunday? And they are like, who is this woman talking to us right now? And then Logan walks up beside me, and they were like, hey, how are you? And I'm like, How do you get out of the pre-K room and go meet everybody? But she does. If you see her in the hallway, she says, hey, how are you? Like, what is your name? How did you get here? Because you know why? I think she truly believes that this is her home. She's been in this church probably more than she has our house, and she's been here since she was just a few days old. But we want your kids to feel that comfortable here. We want them to know that this is their home, that this is where they come to, that this is their safe place, and we want to be that safe group of people that they can come to no matter where they are on their journey. But Logan is very creative. She's very loud. You always know where she is. We don't have to use our phones at Target when we go, because if we split up, we know we can listen for Logan and we can go find wherever the other one is. And I'm not kidding. But one day we were at home and it got really, really quiet in the house. And I think me and Pastor Justin were in the kitchen talking. I was like, babe, it's really quiet. And he was like, I know, this is really weird. So let's go check on the kids. Like, Jackson's normally pretty quiet. He'll play Xbox and just kind of do his own thing sometimes, but the girls are never quiet. And I don't remember if Cameron just wasn't home this day. So I walk over to their side of the house, and I see a sweet little blonde-headed baby sitting in the middle of the hallway, and she is coloring this beautiful masterpiece. Like, it is the most beautiful 3-year-old picture I've ever seen in my life. And can anybody guess where she's coloring this picture at? Yes, she was. This was new to us. She's in a new phase, but Jackson and Cameron never did this, so my mind immediately started racing as to what is going on, like what's going through her little brain that's causing her to write on the wall that the other two didn't. Like, have I failed as a parent because my kid's drawing on the wall? And just so it will help me to feel a little better, raise your hand if your kids have ever drawn on the wall. Yes, that helps me. And hopefully this will help you too. Because I know I do not have it all together, and there's a lot of parents that are constantly asking these questions and trying to figure this out. But in that moment, I may or may not have spanked her little bottom she had a diaper on and her little T-shirt. But I remember saying, Logan Gray, we're going to clean this up right now, like, because that's what a 3-year-old knows to clean it up, right? So I got her a magic eraser, and she's sitting on the wall, and she's cleaning. Well, while she's cleaning, I text these two amazing women that are in my life. Their names are Pastor Benet and Pastor Angela. And I'm like, you will not believe what Logan just did. She colored on the wall, which were the two wrong people to tell that to, because they're like, don't you spank her and don't you make her clean it up. It's perfectly fine. It's just the phase that she's in. Well, I didn't listen to them in that moment, and I didn't listen to that wisdom. So I missed that moment. In this talk today that me and Pastor Justin are going to share with you guys, we want to help you not miss the moment that your kids are in. Because here's what I figured out. I kept thinking over the next day or two, like, what is it that was going through Logan's head? Because I knew it was more than just drawing on the wall. And we have been doing research and reading and trying to figure out how we can better understand kids so we can help you guys and we can help this entire church to love this generation and to help them. And so as we've researched, we found this phase project, and that's what we're living out here at Epic Church, is all of these phases. And there's 12 different phases from the time a kid is born until they graduate high school. And so we're really digging in that. And when I took a moment as a mom, not as her pastor, not as the next gen pastor here at Epic, but as Logan's mom, to figure out how I can best help her to not draw on the walls anymore. I was reading her phase, and her phase that she was in that moment was that she's an artist and she sees the world as an absolute blank canvas. So it made perfect sense to me in that moment of this research that we're doing, that, hey, that's what's going on within her mind. She's just a little artist, and in that moment, I missed it. And if I would have had these phases in front of me in that moment, I would have never made her clean up the drawing on the wall, but I would have framed it so it would remind me every single day when I go to that side of the house that I'm not going to miss it, but I'm going to enjoy this phase that our kids are in. Because how many people in this room you say, oh, it's just a phase, like they'll get through it, like let's hurry and get through middle school. It's a phase, like this is terrible, let's go through it. But I don't want you guys to hurry through it and miss it. We want you guys to enjoy it and say it's just a phase. And I'm going to connect with them where God has them on their journey right now. But here's what we found out as a church in these phases, and we figured out that too many kids in this next generation, they're missing experiencing God's unconditional love and his forgiveness. And there are moments where we could say, well, I grew up in church and maybe I missed it. Or if you're like me, I can say I didn't grow up in church. I missed it. Like, how can I keep these kids from missing it? So as church leaders and pastors and the E-team and this next gen team that we have, we've said, hey, we're going to step back for a minute. We're going to take a deep breath. And we're going to say, maybe we're missing it. Maybe we as a church are missing it, but going forward, we're not going to miss it because we're going to be aware and we're going to know how God has created these kids. And we're going to enjoy every single phase that these kids are in. So what does it look like to not miss it? We have to look at the toddlers. What do babies and toddlers need? They need to be embraced. They need to be held. They want to be prayed over. They need to feel loved. And then as a second grader, they need to be engaged. They need to hear from our mouth that, hey, God's story at some point in your life is going to intersect with your story. And it's going to cause God to do something beautiful within your heart, and you're going to be able to follow him because you're on this quest to know him better and to figure this thing out. And we're going to join in with you, and we're going to meet you here every single Thursday night and every single Sunday across the hall, and we're going to help you figure this God thing out. Or maybe as middle schoolers, have we missed affirming them? Like as middle schoolers, they sometimes will hear outside voices and things at school and things on the ball field, and they'll forget their worth. But are we going to meet them here every single week? Because remember, statistics say we only get about 40 hours a year with them. Are you going to meet them here, the 40 hours that parents bring them and that families come, and we're going to say, hey, you know what? You are made in the image of God. You are going to do mighty and wonderful and powerful things, and you are going to be a world changer, and we're going to hold your hand, and we're going to walk by your side to make sure you do that. Or maybe for high schoolers that we miss mobilizing them and showing them and training them on how to serve the church, how to serve like God, because what we know is we're never more like Jesus than when we're serving. But we can't wait till they're 25 and 27 and 35 and 47 to teach them, hey, the church needs you. Like, we need you to serve, and we need you to be here with us, to partner with us. Because if we can have them partner with the church at 15 instead of 35, like, it would be a game changer, guys. Like, I'm learning things right now that Cameron's learning when she's 9. I'm 9 years into my journey, and so is she. So just think about how we're setting them up for success, and we're going to set the church up for amazing success to see them go on way beyond anything we've ever yet to see or yet to dream. But the point is right here is that we can't afford to miss any phase. The 3-month-old phase is important. The 1-year-old phase is important. The 4th grader phase is important. And so is the middle and high schoolers. And middle and high schoolers, they get a bad rap sometimes. And people say, I'm not hanging out with them. They're making silly decisions. Guess what? You did too, and they're supposed to. They're trying to figure this thing out, and they need a group of adults that are going to walk by them and say, hey, guess what? That's probably not the wisest thing, but I'm going to love you through this thing to see you come out strong on the other side. So before I go into the phases, I want to tell you exactly how we define a phase here at Epic Church. It says a phase is a time frame in a kid's life when you can leverage distinct opportunities to influence their future. It's meeting them where they are. And we have some tools that we're going to put up here on the screens. And I'm going to read you guys just a few phases, and these happen to be the phases that our 3 kids are in. But what I know is that you all have kids in different phases, and so we have all 12 phases that will be available next week in Black Market for you to purchase, so you can keep them on your desk or on your refrigerator, so you can say, hey, like, they're not a crazy teenager like a lot of people say they are. they're trying to figure this thing out. And I'm going to remember what phase they're in so we can help them better. So I can call their small group leader and say, help. So I can call aunts and uncles and grandparents. And I want to encourage the entire family, no matter where you are in a child's life, that you know what these phases are, because I'll get a big amen from a bunch of moms and dads right here. Like, we need a village to help raise our kids. We need a church to help us raise our kids, because we cannot do it on our own. I don't know if you're like us. We tried for a couple of years, and we were like, there's got to be something bigger. So we came running to this place, and I'm thankful for Epic Church and for everything that every volunteer has poured into our 3 kids while we've been here, because we do not take that lightly. But let's look at a few of these phases. The first phase is a 3 and 4. This is the phase when anything can be imagined, everything can become a game, and one curious preschooler wants to know why. Like I've told you, if you see Logan in the hallway, she wants to know, how did you get here? What is your name? What are you doing here? Why? This is normal. It's engaging conversation. So I encourage you, if a preschooler walks up to you in the hallway and talks to you, talk back to them. If you see us in Walmart, she's going to talk to you. Talk back to them. They just want to have that interaction, and they want to know why. Another phase is the 4th and 5th grade phase. This is the phase when friends are best friends. Example, my daughter is sitting out here. She's in the 4th grade, and she's sitting right next to a best friend. All friends are best friends. Games are for competition, and your confident kid will insist, I've got this. They're little, and they think they figured it all out. Have conversation, have dialogue. They want to talk to you, and they want to try to figure this thing out, so help them figure this thing out. I was telling the volunteers last week when we had training, I said it's when a teenager stops talking that you need to be concerned. They want to talk. They want to have dialogue. Don't shut them down just because they want to have a debate about something. Let them have a safe debate within your home and within this church so we can give them the answers that they're looking for that are going to set them up for success. And this is a new phase for us. We are going into the 6th grade with Jackson. This is the phase when there's never enough groceries. Anybody? There's too many hormones, and one dramatic kid needs someone to prove who cares. They just want you to show up. They want to know that you're going to be there every single week, every day, even if it's just them texting you. That may be the way that you communicate with them that day if you don't see them face to face. Just communicate with them in some way and let them know that you care. And this is the last phase. I don't have one of these technically in my home, but we know the pastors have a 12th grader that's about to move out, and many of you do. And if you don't, you will someday, or you've had one move out. But here's the 12th grade phase. The phase when your emerging adult pulls away, gets closer, does things for the last time, and you will both start asking, what's next? So no matter what phase you're going through, remember it's just a phase. And one truth that we know and we've learned in this research is from the time a child is born until they graduate, you have 936 weeks with them, and we do not want to miss it, and we don't want you to miss it either.
So in case you guys haven't figured it out by now, there's Kleenex on the end of the aisles, both sides, so you can go ahead and make a move towards that if you need to. I've watched that video enough now. I was standing in the back, and I was like, I will not look at these screens. Will not look at them. Moms, y'all good? Dads? Dads with daughters? Not so good right now, right? I know. Listen, that video is really cool because it kind of wraps up all the phases in one little 3-minute session there. Like, it's just all the phases that Pastor Amy talked about. They're all wrapped up in that one video. And we all, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, no matter where you're at in your life, you somehow are caught up in one of these phases. And what I mean by that is you probably have a kid that's in one of those phases. Maybe you are a teenager and you're in one of those phases. Maybe you have a nephew or a niece or a grandkid or something. But somehow we're all going through these phases together so we can all relate to them. And so all of these phases make up our Next Gen department. Pastor Amy mentioned it, birth through 12th grade. And so really quick, she mentioned this, but I want to kind of elaborate a little bit. She mentioned Journey, Quest, and Shift, and she told you what those are. But how many of you know that the Bible is very clear that names are powerful and they actually have a meaning? And so we didn't just go, hey, well, let's come up with some cool names. How about Journey, Quest, and Shift? So when you go on a journey, you go from one place to another and you experience things along the way. That's what we want for pre-K back there. That's what we want for the toddlers and the crawlers and even the babies. We want them to, as they graduate from Journey and they move into Quest, that they've experienced something. They're going from one place to another. They're not the same as they were when they got there. Time has passed. Things are different. They've been on a journey. And then they go into Quest. How many of you know what a quest is? If you get sent on a quest, you're on a mission, right? You're called to do something, to go and be and change. And so that's what we want for the kids in Quest. We want them to come out of there knowing that they have not necessarily accomplished a goal, but that they have started a mission and that they are on their way to do something great. And then we move into Shift. And Shift students, anybody in Shift? Where's my Shift students at? I know there's some over here. Y'all make some noise. Let them know you're here. Yep, we got a few over here. I think I heard some over here. So listen, Shift students, we didn't just say we need a snazzy name that sounds cool. Let's call it Shift. Like, what comes to mind and kind of the reason that we named it that is because when you think about an earthquake, there's a shift in the earth. Something changes. There's something, a sudden change happens, and it's a shift. If you look up the definition of shift, it means a sudden change or something drastic happening very quickly. And so we named it Shift because we wanted them to understand that when they leave high school, when they come out of middle school, when they go to high school and then they go into college, that something is not the same. Everything's not the same. Something's changed about them. They've experienced a drastic change very quickly in the last few years. And we want nothing more than for those students, when they graduate, that they continue to cause a shift in the world, that something changes around them, the atmosphere around them changes. It shakes up everywhere that they go, just like an earthquake. And that every time they step their foot into a new place, that the people and the things in that place would be shaken to the point to try to figure out what's so different about those students. And so that's what the meaning of those words are. That's what the meaning of those departments are. And all of those areas, Journey, Quest, and Shift, all make up our Next Gen department. And Next Gen here for us stands for Next Generation. Very simple. Next generation. Everybody say legacy. We talk a lot about legacy. This year we've talked a lot about it for sure. And that's why today is so important. That's why Next Gen is so important to us, because we want nothing more than for the students and the children here today, here next week, to be here 20 years from now, to be sitting in your seats, taking up the space that you occupy right now, filling these sections with their kids in Journey and their kids in Quest. And so we want to ensure that we leave a legacy. And what I believe and what I've kind of figured out recently, very recently, is that the extent of your legacy is determined by the extent of your love for the generation behind you. The generation that's following you, they will only follow you, and your legacy will only last as long as you love them and as much as you love them. So if you don't have a whole lot of love for the kids coming up behind you, you're one of those people, and I used to be this guy, so I'm not saying anything about you, but I used to be this guy. I like my kids, but I don't like all kids, right? There's some people in here, you said that this morning probably, like, I like my kids, but I don't like all these kids, right? Well, just know that your love for those kids will determine your legacy for your own kids. So make sure that you are sold out to that, okay? So everybody say future. We got these cool shirts made that say the future is here. And I love these shirts because it's a reminder. It's a reminder to us as to what Pastor Ivy mentioned at the very top of today, that the next generation is the now generation. The future's here now. You want to see the future? Go to Journey. You want to see what's happening in the next couple of years in this room? Walk across the hall and check out the Quest area. You definitely need to come to Shift tonight if you want to see it, because in a couple of years, they will be the ones on this stage. They will be the ones preaching to you guys, and they will be the ones leading you in worship and running this church. They will be the ones that are at the doors greeting you, waving you in. They'll be the ones that are running this whole place, because the future is here now, and they're ready to take it over. And so these are a reminder. And what the next generation needs is not somebody like us to just wear a cool T-shirt and support, but what they need, the next generation needs someone that has gone before them to be for them now. They need somebody that's gone before them to be for them. And so everybody say legacy. The next generation just wants someone to welcome them in. They just want somebody. Here's what they want. They want people to stop saying no so much and to just say yes for a change. The next generation needs people that are willing to say yes to them and stop saying no. Now, I have 3 kids, so I say no a lot, okay? I say no all the time. Usually it's for safety purposes or discipline reasons. That's you, but that's a little different. If you're a parent, you know that gets an exception. Sometimes you have to say no. It's for guidance, right? Hey, no, you can't jump off the roof onto the trampoline. No, that's not smart, okay? That's not what I'm saying. What they need is somebody to say yes, somebody to welcome them in. And so this is one of the biggest desires that we have here in our Next Gen department, is to welcome kids in and let them know that, hey, we're for you. We're saying yes to you. We want to see you accomplish great things and come to know God in a mighty way. That's kind of, that's our thing. We want to say yes to them. But how can you say yes? And why should you say yes? Well, for us, it's our desire, but it's not just our desire. It's Jesus' desire too. And he says so in Matthew 18:5. He says, whoever welcomes one child like this in my name welcomes me. Whoever welcomes one child like this in my name welcomes me. Jesus just wants people to say yes to the kids around them, because he knows, and what he's telling us here is that when you say yes to the kids around you, not just your kids, but you're saying yes to Jesus in that moment. You're saying you're welcoming God in. You're not just saying, hey, yeah, kids, come hang out or whatever. Like, you are welcoming God in, because you have to admit this. Jesus made a very big deal about kids, or he wouldn't have said that. Kids are made by God. They reflect the image of God, and every kid has the potential to love God. Notice I said they have the potential, not that they just are born loving God. They have the potential to love God. It is our job to make sure that that potential turns into reality. So it's very obvious that every kid matters to God. Every kid matters to God, and so every kid should matter to us the same way. Now, here's what's cool is that in John 14, this is a very famous verse. Jesus says, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, right? We've probably all heard that at some point, I am the way. What he's saying here is everyone is welcome. I'm the way. This is the door right here. And in that statement, Jesus kicks the door wide open, just kicks it open and says, hey, everybody, this is the way. Come on in. And it made the Pharisees very, very nervous. They panicked, because what he did was he opened the door wide enough so that people would come in and maybe they didn't look just like the Pharisees. Maybe they were a little bit different. See, the Pharisees were hung up on religion. They were hung up on rules. All they wanted to do was make sure that your beard was the right length, or that you were wearing the right thing on the right day, and that all these different rules, right? And all Jesus is saying is like, hey, regardless of the rules, you're welcome here. We want to make sure that you know that you're welcome here, right? And so Jesus kicks the door wide open, welcomes everybody in, says, I am the way. And so I want to tell you a quick little story and kind of show you an example of something. And the Shift students in the house will recognize this, and they can amen it all they want to, because it's the truth. So I didn't grow up in church. Pastor Amy mentioned it. She didn't grow up in church. So we had very little experience growing up with like the youth group thing, right? But over the years, I went a couple times maybe, like with friends, like, hey, you want to go to church with me tonight? Yeah, sure, okay. And so I never really got into it. It definitely didn't welcome me into a church, because I just didn't end up not going for a long time. We didn't start going to church till I was like 25. We knew we were, we needed to for our kids, and that's when we started going. It was after we had kids. So for many, many years, I saw youth groups happening. I knew about it through high school. I saw other kids and family friends and their kids all doing the youth group thing. And then we got into our position here as youth pastors and next-gen pastors, and so researching youth groups kind of became our job. And so I spend a lot of time now watching other youth groups and seeing what's kind of happening and how things are going and that stuff. Meeting other youth pastors, going and visiting churches, different things. And so over the years, I've kind of watched a lot, and I've learned a lot. And one thing that I've noticed is that most youth groups, now not all of them, but most youth groups, they all look the same. And what I mean by that is not like this church's youth group looks like that church's youth group, which they both look like that church's youth group. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean is if you go to Church A and you go to their youth group experience, all the kids are probably going to be dressed very similar. Most of them are probably going to have the same haircut. Maybe they'll have on the same gray New Balances, white Nike socks, that kind of thing. Whatever, they all have a similarity about them. And so it became very obvious to me that it's like, that's probably why I never got involved in church, was because I just didn't feel welcome. I didn't dress like that. I didn't have that haircut or whatever. And so I was a little bit different. And so I rolled in there and just didn't feel welcome, and it was hard to get connected. And so we've noticed that, and I'm not saying that any churches and their youth groups are bad or wrong for doing that or whatever. Like, that's a natural thing that happens a lot, and I get it. What I'm saying is that I wasn't a religious person. And so the thought of having to do something specific to fit into a group turned me off right away. I was out on that because I just didn't grow up that way. I wasn't a religious person. Amy and I, we weren't the type of people to follow rules and be real religious when it came to being welcomed in. We were just the type of people that just wanted to experience freedom. That's all we desired, because we had a lot of crap going on in our lives. And so we just wanted freedom. We just wanted to be us and be welcomed in for who we were and how we were, and then, settle all that where it may. But we just wanted to be welcomed in. We wanted to be free people and be welcomed in. And so Shift, what I mean, like, I'm going to take you to a Shift and how this all works. And Shift is very weird. If you've never experienced it or if you've never seen it, I want to try to bring you into it and share with you what it looks like. Because while I mentioned, the youth groups that I've always kind of watched and seen, and there's tons of good ones out there, but most of them, there's not a lot of diversity in the group. Shift is very diverse. We have 32 schools that make up Shift students. That's crazy. 32 schools within Decatur City, Morgan County, Limestone, Madison County, even Coleman County. Like, we reach a lot of different kids. Everybody say different. It's very diverse. 32 different schools make up Shift. And on any given night, there's anywhere between 80 to 120, and it's all different. Everybody's different. It's so weird. And there's 80 to 120 different styles of dress and different, music that they listen to, different haircuts. Everything's different, and it's cool. And so what that kind of tells me is that, obviously, and it's not like we did it intentionally, but the door to Shift is wide open. The door at Shift has been kicked wide open because it doesn't matter where they're at in their life. They know they can just come on in. And what that does, I'm going to be real honest with you, what that does is there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. There's a lot of dirty things that happen in the homes. There's a lot of stuff that kids can't control, but they have to carry. That comes to Shift with them. And it's very messy, and it's very yucky and grimy, and there's a lot of weird stuff that you think that would never happen to kids, but it does. And that's the kind of stuff that comes in the door with these students, and we would never ask for anything different. It's perfectly fine with us here, because we know that whoever welcomes one child like this welcomes God. And so the door at Shift is very, very wide open, because somebody along the lines and along the way kind of opened the door very wide for us personally. And so many, many years ago, there was a group of people that opened the door for us, and it allowed us to experience a positive church environment, and it changed the course of our history, our personal history, and it allowed us to walk into and begin to develop our own legacy. And so what I mean by that is our pastors are in Athens today, and if they were here, I would say, hey, thank you. But there's another group of people. There's 40 people or so that were a part of Epic Church in March of 2008. And if you're here, I want you to know, like, Amy and I, we thank you because you guys are the ones that opened the door, kicked the door open and said, come on in, it's fine. Not literally opening the glass doors at Fretwell, but you welcomed us in just the same way like you would welcome God in. And to us, it is huge because it has allowed us to experience not only God's forgiveness, but his unconditional love through a simple act of opening the door and welcoming us in because you said yes to us. And so 2 miserable kids at the time have turned into 2 next-gen pastors, and we get to get on stage and teach this now. So thank you, guys. And so I want you guys really quick, let's look around the crowd. You know, I mentioned Shift is very diverse. Epic Church is very diverse. But the moment that we get to the point where we're comfortable with the people that are here, then the door begins to close. So we have to make sure we keep the door wide open, that we're never comfortable with who's here. We need to be comfortable. We need to not be comfortable with the type of people that are here. We need to not be comfortable with the type of kids that are coming. And we especially cannot get comfortable with the type of students that are coming. Because when you start to get comfortable, the door closes, and a closed door to a student means I'm not welcome. And so it's very, very important because of legacy, the way that we welcome every kid through every phase. We have to change our mindset and understand that it may be the most important thing that we do. And here's why. As a Christ follower, you and I, we're equipped with more power and more influence in a kid or a teenager's life than anybody on the planet. You can say Chance the Rapper's a bigger influence than me, but I doubt it. You can say that the things they see on TV, the people, the actors that they follow, the reality show people are a bigger influence on a child's life than I am, but I doubt it. And here's why I believe that. Because as a Christ follower, because I know the Creator, I can help a kid discover their creative potential. As a Christ follower, because I have been welcomed and forgiven, I can give every kid a place to belong regardless of their failures. And because I trust in a risen Savior, I can offer hope for a better future. That's not just true for me. If you are a Christ follower, you understand that too, and you possess the same power and influence in a kid's life. You just have to understand that, and you have to put it to use. So if every kid has been made in the image of God, and every kid matters to God, then saying yes to kids and teenagers matters. It matters more than you think it does. Listen to this. Over the years that I've been a youth pastor, next-gen pastor, whatever, many different titles over the years. So in the last 9 to 10 years, I seriously, I know this is a fact because I remember all 3 of them. I know where they were from. I've gotten 3 thank you cards from students in like 9 to 10 years. I'm not saying I should get more. What I'm saying is I remember each and every one. I can tell you who they came from, when it was, what it was for. And here's why I'm telling you that. Because just because there isn't a lot of immediate gratitude doesn't mean that your service is any less significant. It means that just because you don't get a thank you doesn't mean that you shouldn't serve the next gen. And whether you're a parent or a teacher or a coach or a pastor or whatever, if you are out to get recognition and reward from students and kids, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a hot minute before you start getting thank yous. You might get 3 in 9 years, but you know what? That's not the heart of it. That's not why we do it. That's not why you should do it. If you do it for that, you're just laboring. You're just working too hard for something that you probably aren't going to get. And so we have to be okay serving the next generation without worrying about recognition or reward. We have to embrace preschoolers. We have to engage elementary age kids. We've got to affirm middle schoolers and who they are. And we have to mobilize high schoolers because those are the things that are going to radically change their future. Just like if somebody did that for us, it would have radically changed our future. Maybe somebody did that for you, and you can probably sit there and go, you know what, that's true. That radically changed my future. Here's another cool thing. Saying yes to kids and teenagers will probably change you more than it changes them. It's a fact. It's just a fact. You spend a few hours with a kid, it challenges your faith. Your faith will never be the same if you spend a few hours every week with a kid. The guys and ladies that lead in Quest, lead small groups, I promise you, they go home on Sundays and go, oh my gosh, like I don't see God like that. I do. Some of the questions they get, you know, if you've ever tried to talk to a child about baptism class and what baptism is, every time I walk away going, you know what, I've never thought about that. That is true. It challenges your faith. Another thing it does is it will challenge your perspective. Hang out with middle schoolers long enough, and you're going to see things a lot differently than they do, especially deodorant, okay? So you're going to see things way different than they do. You're going to notice things, and you're going to go, you know what? I've never thought about that. It challenges your perspective. You see things differently. And, of course, it's going to definitely change your tech savvy. If you're not very tech savvy, you need to get around some young people. They'll hook you up, show you how to work your iPhone or your Nokia or whatever it is that you got, okay? So it will only grow you. It will help them, but it will help you more than it will help them, I promise you. Saying yes to kids and teenagers will definitely last a lot longer than you do. Everybody say legacy. How many of you know that you're going to die one day? Woo! Some of you don't know that yet. That is terrible news to get at church on Sunday. My bad. Wow. I didn't realize so many people didn't know, but you're all going to die one day, okay? Pastor Justin said so. We're all going to die. Here's what I know. I'm going to die one day. I'll be 120, but I'm going to die, okay? And I'm probably never going to get a library named after me. I will probably never have my name on a sign in a football stadium that says Justin Potter Field. I will probably never have an article written about me in Time magazine. These things probably just aren't going to happen. And that really doesn't matter to me because I know that what I do for kids and teenagers now will build a bigger legacy than what I ever thought, than any name on a library. And here's what's really cool about that is what you do for teenagers now, what you do for children now, they're only going to do more for the next generation. They're only going to do far greater things for the next generation. Jesus actually talked about this a little bit to his disciples later on in John 14. He's getting ready to go away, and he's telling them, he's trying to prepare them for when he's not there. And he says, I tell you the truth, anyone who believes in me will do the same works I have done, and even greater works. He's like, look, I'm not going to be here forever. So think about all the things that Jesus did. Think about those. Think about all the miracles that he did. Some crazy stuff. But then he humbles himself and he looks at the disciples right in the whites of their eyeballs and says, the dead guy, you're going to do something better than that. You're going to do greater than that. Healing all those people, it's not a big deal. Think about what you're going to do. It's going to be much greater than that. You know, all of the miracles that Jesus did, and then he looks at Peter and says, hey, you're going to start a church. And Peter's like, me? A church? Now look where we're at today. A couple thousand years later, we're at church because Peter, because he had what Jesus gave him, and that was hope and a future. He said, hey, look, this is what you're going to do. He had what Jesus passed down to him. Everybody say legacy. So the legacy continues, and that's how you pass down a legacy from one generation to the next. That's how the church moves from today into tomorrow with a message of hope, of faith, and of love. And that's the message that the next generation needs to hear. They need to hear the message of faith, hope, and love. They need that message. They need someone to say yes to them, somebody to welcome them in, somebody to just kick the door open and say, hey, you're welcome here. The next generation, the generation coming up behind us, they just need to know that someone that has gone before them is for them. That's all they need to know. That's it. The next generation, I understand the next generation needs me. You know, Pastor Amy understands the next generation needs her. But I need you, we need you to understand that the next generation needs you just as much, if not more. Because they come to church, they expect to hear me preach. They expect to hear me teach them something and challenge them on something. They expect that from me. And so sometimes they just get familiar with it. And that's okay, that's just part of it. But what they need is somebody on Tuesday at 7:30 in the morning saying, instead of saying, hey, get up, you're going to be late, they need somebody to speak life into them and to say something and show them a little bit of unconditional love and a little bit of forgiveness. Because when you welcome them in, it's just like you're welcoming God in. And so practically speaking, how can you, within our church, how can you say yes to the next generation? Well, you may have seen it when you came in. If not, you can catch it on your way out. But right out those doors right there is like a big board with a bunch of little brown tags hanging on it. That's our Say Yes board. Okay? So if you are interested in how can I say yes to the next generation, I'm going to ask you to go by there. As a matter of fact, I would just say everybody in this room, just on your way out, just cruise by there, because on those brown tags, those are different ways that you can say yes to the next gen. And I know, here's what I'm going to challenge you with, is I know there's a lot of people in this room right now that are serving in this church. I get it. Like, I know you're serving. But are you serving somewhere that's convenient, or are you serving somewhere that can have a potential impact in the future, in the legacy that we're trying to leave here? And so think about that on your way out, because there's tons of little opportunities on that board. And here's a couple. I'm just going to highlight a few. How many of you love to rock babies? You just love having a baby in your arms. Most of the people holding their hands up already do that in Journey. Some of you are like, I just want to rock a baby. How can I rock a baby? Go by that Say Yes board, and there's a thing on there that says, I just want to rock babies. I will say yes to rocking babies. They will get you a green shirt and toss you, no, they won't toss you a baby. Some mom will gently pass a baby to you over a baby gate, and you get to sit and rock a baby for an hour. You just get to rock a baby. Some of y'all are like, I'm in, sign me up, right? You just get to rock a baby. We need people that will rock a baby. But here's the cool thing about that. Men, this is for you. We need people to pray powerful prayers and read powerful scriptures over those same babies while they're being rocked. We don't have enough men in this church serving in Next Gen. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm just going to be real blunt with you. We don't have enough men serving in these areas. We come to IM4 nights, the conference is coming up next weekend, and we get all excited about being a man and leaving a legacy, and Pastor IV fires everybody up, and we say, yeah, I'm a prophet, I'm a priest, king, and warrior. What are you doing to ensure the legacy right now? What are you doing? Are you waiting until later? Or do you just like to say, I'm a prophet, I'm a priest, I'm a king, I'm a warrior, I am IM4 man. Rock a baby? I'm out. Like, no, if you're going to be that, then go be that. Go be that in Journey right there, with no recognition and no reward. We need men that are going, you know what? I'm going to ensure a legacy one way or the other. I will change a dirty diaper. And all the men are like, not me. Right? We just need people. We need men. We need people in Journey. But we don't just need people to fill space. We need people that want to leave a legacy. We need people that want to make a difference in the next gen. Shift students, guess what they need? They need men to lead them. They need men to show them what it's supposed to be a man, because they're trying to figure it out. 8th grade boys don't know how to be a man. They're 8th grade boys. But we can show them by the way that we show up consistently, by the way that we talk to our wives on our cell phones. They're listening. They hear that. And so we have plenty of opportunities within Journey and Quest and Shift. Let me tell you something about Quest. Is William Bishop in here? Okay, he's in Quest. You want to know why? Funny, but you want to know why? Because there's not enough men over there. He's probably by himself with 27 K through 5th grade boys like he had 2 weeks ago. 27 K through 5th grade boys trying to do a small group because we don't have enough men that are willing to go, you know what? I'll lead a small group. I'll help William. 2 against 27 is way better than 1 against 27, okay? We just need some people. We need some men. I'm going to challenge all the guys to go by the Say Yes boards out here and go, how can I help? Because the next generation needs you, they need me, but Pastor Amy and I and the people that are in Journey and the people that are in Quest and the people that are in Shift right now, we can't do it alone. The legacy is far greater than a few people. And so we need your help. The next generation needs someone that has gone before them to be for them. And the way that you can be for them is by saying yes to them. Because we want to ensure that as a church, that we're leaving a strong enough legacy, that we can build momentum, that we can keep momentum, and that these guys, just like the last thing I want them to do is get to 25, like I was, and figure out, how do I do this? Where do I start? What do you mean legacy? I don't understand church. I don't know what this means. That's the last thing that we want. We want those pre-K kids in 20 years to stand on this stage and preach a better message than anybody before them. All because some people before them were for them. So how can you be for them today? Just say yes. Say yes, whatever that looks like. I know that people got crazy schedules. I know that people got like lots of stuff going on, but say yes. Just welcome them in. That's all we can do, and then we just do our part, and we can put them on our shoulders, stand them on our shoulders, so that they can see the future better than we can. The next generation, all they need is somebody that's been before them to be for them. Let's pray. God, I thank you for today. God, I thank you for everybody in this room that came to church today, and they wanted to hear from you. And God, I believe that this message was from you, not from me as a next-gen pastor, but was from you. I believe what Pastor Amy spoke was not from her, because I know her heart. God, I know that was from you. And so, God, I ask that the messages that were spoken today land on hearts, change lives, and stir people to action. God, better than we ever could just as humans. God, I pray that everybody in this room understands now the importance of serving the next gen and what that looks like for their own legacy. And so, God, I pray right now over everybody in this room. I pray a special blessing over everyone from birth through 95 that's here today. God, however old they may be, God, I pray a special blessing over them, that they would experience something radically different today that would ensure them that they are following you and that they love you, God, and that you love them back. And so, God, we ask for forgiveness today. We ask for unconditional love, and we give everything that has happened today back to you, and we love you. And it's in Jesus' name that we pray. And everybody said...